Hello everybody, Interact here again with another video. We're going to briefly talk about the killer perk Surge. Apparently in a Reddit AMA, Peanuts, I hope I'm saying that right, one of the community people over at Behavior said that Surge is only 8% regression generators total. I was a bit confused since the tooltip is a bit confusing, and says that it explodes the generator and then applies an additional 8% regression. I have been working under the assumption that this meant that it was 18% total. Now, why did I think that? The only other time that a generator will ever explode in this game is when a survivor fails a skill check, which is 10% regression to whatever the failed skill check was doing. In this case, a generator. So I naively assumed that it would instantly explode, that's 10%, and then apply an additional 8% regression. The additional regression meaning that it would be 18% total. So I went ahead and tested this with some of my Twitch mods, and here are the pictures of the results that I will edit onto screen right now. Here's a picture of the generator repair bar before it was hit with Surge, and a picture of after it was hit with Surge. I measured out how long the bar is total, so I would know what 100% of a generator progress bar would be. I then measured how much of the generator was repaired before and after Surge went off. By doing some quick math based on the amount of pixels wide that the lines are, I was able to determine that the generator bar is about 289 pixels wide. It was 147 pixels before it was hit with Surge, which using some simple math comes out to about 50.86% of the generator being completed. Now after it was hit with Surge, it went down to 120 pixels or 41.52%. So basically, the explosion is, I guess, just there to notify you that Surge worked, and doesn't actually add that 10% regression that I had assumed that it did. It is only 8% regression total. So, what are the takeaways from this? Well, first of all, the way that they worded Surge is extremely awful, and apparently the perk is also just god-awful. I had naively assumed, and I probably should have tested this earlier, before, going off and spouting that it was 18% in way too many places. It says an additional 8%, so I was like, hey, the generator explodes, that's 10%, additional, that's 18%. Nope, it has now been confirmed both by someone at Behavior and by testing, which I should have done way earlier. I understand, I made a huge mistake not doing that. Surge is only 8% total, which means that it's basically god-awful and not worth running. I had high hopes that Behavior had actually given us a decent enough slowdown perk to use in place of like Ruin or Pop Goes the Weasel, because those are basically the only two that are worth anything at the moment on generic killers. Apparently I was completely wrong. I guess my tier video is super out of date, like only 2 weeks after coming out, which is super depressing because I put a lot of work into that, and a lot of it was based on the fact that Surge was 18%. So Surge is basically D tier. It's not really worth running, I guess, unless you really want surveillance to proc off of it. I'm really disappointed that I didn't test this earlier, and for saying that it was 18% in so many places and spreading false information. I made this channel with the express purpose of getting the most accurate and up-to-date information out that I could about this game, because I do care about the game and I want to help out newer players or people who are less experienced, or who don't really, want to test these things out themselves. I'm also disappointed in Behavior for wording things poorly, but that's really nothing new. They've been doing that for a while. I think it's probably just a language barrier thing. I just wish they'd give us some decent perks, but I guess maybe the next chapter will have some. But until that time, I'm just going to go back to running nothing but Hex, Ruin, and Pop Goes the Weasel on every killer, and just have no choices or any diversity to my slowdown perks. Oh well. Sorry for saying it was 18% once again for like the 17th time in this video. The 18th time. Let's make it the 18th time. How ironic would that be? Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one where hopefully I don't screw up and say the wrong thing a million times.